All right. Hello, great chosen community, and welcome to Foster My Stories, the achievement focused podcast for foster, adoption, orphan, inclusive of the underserved communities. I'm your host, Shalina Michelle Tate. And on today's cast episode, I would like for you to get to know my featured special guest for November, Ms. Rosalind Rider, a youth advocate with a focus on structure and tough love despite various life circumstances. Welcome to Foster My Stories, Ms. Rosalind. How are you doing today?
I am sensational. I've been anticipating this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much.
No problem. And thank you so much for being here. Before we get into the dynamics of your current profession and future goals, I would like to ask that you really take the listeners on a snippet of who you are, basically by telling listeners how your past influenced your transition into leadership. But before you do that, listeners, if you have any questions, feel free to hold off until the interview is over with, and then I'm gonna open the floor back up. But yes, Ms. Rosalind, if you can let the listeners know how your past influenced your transition into
Um, so there's always obstacles or different curves in your life that you don't really realize how much they're going to affect you. Um, some of my past experiences. I was a correctional officer for close to 25 years. I became a deputy sheriff, worked with juveniles, and I'm still in the military, going on 26 years. Um, and so with that, it has allowed me to not only deal with discipline of people, but it also allowed me to see our system
Mhm.
and what a need it is for people who really do care about our young people, and how based on the direction that they go, how it can influence them either going into a prison system or into being able to have some great mentors to really guide them into a successful future.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Rosalind, for highlighting that truth of how these youth need really assistance and guidance and not going down those paths that statistics tend to put them in. And most notably, when we talk about those communities, the foster, adoption, orphan, and underserved, they tend to kind of get lumped into those categories and expectations. And so I'm looking forward to a little bit later on getting more into your current strides in your past dealing with correctional, and then also your current strides with the military. Um, and once again, I'm so thankful that you've taken time out of your schedule to come what life wins would you say helped you attribute your expertise to excel despite relation to your foster adoption past?
I think my life win has been, um, I think that not only being able to be a part of some of our young people and seeing them later on, um, being able to have that success story, being able to come back later and see that there may be a small portion of what you feel like you did, but what a significant difference that made in their life. And them just being able to come back and say thank you, and you being able to see the reward of them wanting to do better, that they desired it. They just wanted somebody who honestly uh, cared.
Yes, yes. Thank you for
Hmm.
sharing that. You remind me of another guest I had, Mr. Lyman Gibbs, who also had a past dealing in the correctional facility, and but he also mentioned how he was able to connect to many of the youth, and then saw them later on in life, and that was a really a privilege being able to see them come back and share really their testimonies and what they've been doing, and also as a really a confirmation that you've been a vital part in their lives. And so,
Okay.
I commend you for just even really stepping up in relation to the youth and your efforts and what you're trying to do, because we need more advocates more mentors, more people really with the heart to just help these youth right where they are. Um, so besides correctional facility, and how can or where can or before I get into that, can you really share what inspired you to progress as a voice and a leader, not just for youth, but for the women you now mentor?
Oh, that's exciting. So, I like to share with people. I honestly never expected uh, us to be where we are now with the amount of ladies that we literally have globally. I just realized that there was a need for women to just have a safe place where they could speak. I'm speaking of our women's ministry, started back in about 2006. I opened up my home to some ladies. You know, I've been traveling and going to a lot of different ministries and conferences. And I just wanted to share the information that I had. And it just grew from one to 44 uh, ladies from, just driving, come and visit once a month. And it has just, now it's grown to our sixth annual retreat that we're doing now every year, once a year. We meet up.
Yes. And can you please tell listeners the name of your ministry that does this for the women?
Yes. So the name of our ministry is It's Already Done Ministries. That portion is our Journey to the Crown. It's our Women's Wellness Weekend, Journey to the Crown. We do it in March, the third weekend of March. Presently, we have an average of about 300 ladies on our roster in about 23 states.
That is amazing. Listening to you and listening to how you clearly have a heart for the youth, and then you're talking about these dynamic women that you've had the opportunity to come alongside of and coach and mentor. It's amazing how everything has come full circle. Like everything is kind of related. Like you've had
Yeah.
the time with the correctionals, and you saw really those men and women and youth in those situations, but then it grew into really your ministry to then go and then help the youth right where they are, and then also it's expanded to with the women, and it's all connected. How we may go through circumstances, kind of like I said at the beginning, we may go through
Mhm.
life circumstances and just hardships in life, and um, but how just taking the time to even want to make a change or a difference
Oh,
will
absolutely.
allow,
Mhm.
yeah, many other doors to open up. And a lot of times those doors are very relative, really, to the purpose and the mission and the ministry that you're being called to do. Um, when you started to notice a pattern, you were saying that it grew, like it was unexpected. When it started growing, was it a revelation to you, like then, that, oh my goodness, this is making an impact, and this is kind of related to what I did with the youth or my past with the correction? How was
Mhm.
that transition for you?
Honestly, first of all, I knew that two things. Number one, even if I tried to stop it, I could not stop the momentum of what God was doing. And then secondly, I knew that at some point I was going to need some assistance, and we're very fortunate that we have some ladies who have the same heart that I have, and they wanted to see and be a part of what God was doing.
Yes.
So at this stage, there is no way I could still keep up the momentum by myself. So I'm very fortunate to have a team of people that the more I tried to pull back, the more God pushed me in. It's kind of like being on that being at a school and you don't want to fight, but you have that one kid that pushes you in the
Yeah.
center, and next thing you know, you're in the middle. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel. It's like I was going backwards,
Yeah.
and I would just say that one of God's angels pushed me in, and next thing you know, I was in the middle of it, and it was around me, and it's grown. to that measure. And what I didn't mention is that for this retreat, we have ladies as young as seniors in high school,
Uh,
as of last year, uh, up to ladies that are 83 years young. So it's
wow.
representing about 6 to 7 generations
Wow.
of people, of ladies that are there, and it's just amazing to
Yeah.
watch the young ladies talking to the old ladies. And we walk out of Ezekiel 37, which is, can these dry bones live? And the answer is yes,
Yeah.
as well as Titus 2, which is the older women mentoring the young women.
Yes. Yes, thank you for just sharing that insight. And then, listeners, when she's referring to that scripture about dry bones, it doesn't necessarily mean old and you can't do anything. It's just that the dry bones is a dependency on what God can do through the dreams, the purposes, and the missions of what we feel like we can't. And so, it's that's coming back to a full circle of understanding there's a need and purpose there. And I'm just imagining, I'm sitting here imagining just the retreats that you've had and just the women that have attended and the eagerness to just be a part and just be able to just soak up the wisdom from generation to generation and learn from each other. And I feel like I'm in the midst of it and I'm not even at a retreat. So,
Yeah.
um, and
Well, we
oh,
want you there. We want you there. So,
so
amen.
I will be honored. I just hearing that um that's definitely a need. A lot of times we may see that, on a movie or, see it or hear somebody in passing saying, oh, I need to go away on a retreat but it's a
Yeah.
very real thing when you're getting to do
Mhm.
that and then also be surrounded really in an atmosphere of support and understanding and really an open space of just being able to talk and express a lot of times in life, whether it's through our job or our families or just everyday circumstances. We as women don't really always feel we have a voice, or we'll try to be muffled, because society will say you need to not say anything or do anything. And sometimes this can extend into places you think that I should be able to have a voice. But just
Yeah.
to hear, yeah, just to hear that those retreats that you do with your ministry allows these women to just be free is amazing. And it sounds like, am I saying this right? Are you, maybe this is something future, is a retreat possible for maybe an effort for the youth that you're wanting to work with? I know
So,
that's your heart.
yes, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. So, one of the things that is our goal as a ministry is we are working on a transition home.
Yeah,
Right now, we work with other local transition homes here in the community. As a matter of fact, we have a aging out foster care young man right now that we are mentoring, and because we do not have a place,
mm,
or we couldn't offer him a place to stay, fortunately,
yeah,
we are collaborating with other ministries
yeah,
and organizations here. So we have him now staying there, but we're connected with him 100%. We're working with that
yeah,
organization to make sure that they still, are able to receive their needs. But in regard to your question, for our young girls, we once we get our transition home, that will be part of the house rules. Is that when we do our annual event, they will attend.
um,
Not to mention during the year we'll do mentoring activities and different things throughout the year that they will participate in, and that is part of the requirement of being in the transition home.
yes, that's amazing. Just even hearing you say you're wanting to have a transition home, and that's always a need. I know we've spoken in the past as well about how that's a needed effort from state to state to
Oh yeah.
state. And
Hmm.
listeners, Ms. Rosalind is in Texas right now, so definitely
Yes.
it's a dynamic need where she's at. I'm in South Carolina, but it's wherever you go, it's always a need. And so, listeners, if you are listening and you happen to be maybe like a community expert or a leader in what you do, highly advise that you would reach out to Miss Rosalind and really network with her and her efforts. Maybe y'all could collaborate. Maybe there's some resources that can equally help her efforts. I know she is connected to Miss Cheryl Williams, a
Yes.
dynamic leader there in Texas as well, Miss Southwest 2022. And then we have Mr. Danny Van. He has a heart for the youth as well, aging out. Here in South Carolina, there's several organizations. So I'm hoping that we can get you connected, Ms. Rosalind.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, with your efforts and the need of those transitional homes. I'm hoping that some of these old buildings that have been sitting can be repurposed for your efforts.
Yes, yes, yes. We are definitely vocal. You know, the
Yeah,
word of God says to be ready in and out of season. And
yeah,
so when people ask us what we need, we have an answer for them. And
yes,
and it's funny, that you would even mentioned about these buildings, because you have buildings here in San Antonio that the taxes are being paid on them. The city is paying for it. And we're saying, hey, let's negotiate. Let's talk about what we can do to
yeah,
go in and refurbish these buildings and
yeah.
get them up and running for these kids and get them off the streets.
Yes, that is so true. Pass by now, especially in my area, I could pass by right now. There's a lot of land that's just sitting, buildings
Mm.
that's just sitting. A lot of people have, a lot of establishments have relocated to like more well-to-do areas, and
Right.
so the properties are just left there. And I'm like, well, what's happening with
Mhm.
those properties? I got some
Right.
ideas. So, so it is a need. And Ms. Rosin, I really appreciate what you are, your strides, and really what's being birthed through you. Speaking of your efforts, what other efforts are you wanting to work on? Are you working on trying to get a book? I know you're a playwright. Can you share a little bit about that and your efforts and what you're wanting to do with that?
Yeah, so I do have a business, Most Production, and anything that we do, any efforts that we do toward that, whether it's comedy or stage plays, as well as concerts, definitely faith based. Then a portion of that, those monies, those profits, we always want to put it toward the ministry. um, just any avenue that we have, that we can increase our funds to be able to assist with the ministry is what we do. And then our entire team has that same collective effort. So, we all look at different things right now. We're here locally in San Antonio at the Ingram Mall doing fundraising. We're actually wrapping Christmas gifts for donations. And so that's something that we have going on. Um, as well as different events that we have throughout the year. Yes, you mentioned about writing a book. I've kind of been dabbling with that a little bit,
Yeah,
and just working on different things that I know that God is birthing out of me. Motivational speaking. I've been invited to a few different things with that, and just trying to really see the direction that God has me going on the path, as well as what we're doing with the ministry. Um, it's just, you just really want to make sure that that you're hearing from the Lord, and also making sure that you get out of your own way, because
yeah,
sometimes we can kind of talk ourselves down
yeah,
from the things that God wants us to do. And so, when I continue to hear the same thing or the same invitations, then I know that I just need to step out of the way, and allow God to do whatever it is that He's doing with me, not for me, but for
yeah.
whomever that may see it or come in contact with. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing about that
Mhm.
journey, Miss Rosalind. What words of wisdom would you like to leave with listeners, whether they are a youth, whether they are a woman needing encouragement, or anyone from any walk of life that may have gone through maybe correctional or just life hardships? Any words of wisdom you want to leave?
That's a good question. I think one of the things you mentioned, hardships, we're human. You know,
Mhm.
everybody is going to go through different things, and you need to know that you're not alone. You need to know that, I like to share with people that the enemy is so stupid that
Yes.
the stories are always the same,
Yep.
just the characters change.
Yeah.
For a long time, I allowed the enemy to isolate me through shame, and I lost my voice, and there was a lot of things that I didn't want to talk about because I was embarrassed because of the choices I made. And and when I started realizing that the only way to beat him at his own game was to tell my story,
Hmm.
because nobody knows it better than me.
Yeah.
And so, as I began to share my story and deal with that shame, uh, that was just a part of life and the choices I made, I also uh, started sharing with people, it's okay if you change your mind. If you commit to something, for example, relationships that I'd been
Hmm.
in, all the way up into the end, because I said, then I felt committed.
Hmm.
But if you're in a situation and there's red flags,
Hmm.
and you realize that there's something that's not right,
Hmm.
you have the right.
Yeah.
You have the validation to say, I changed my mind.
Hmm.
And every day as you go through life, it's okay to change your mind. Never feel like anyone or you have to pin yourself in a corner where you have to go through with something that you know is not going to benefit you,
Hmm.
or something that's going to benefit the ones that are around you. You are loved. I don't know you, but I know that if I did, I would love you with everything that's in you through your core. And I'm just a phone call away. Um, I mentor all the time, no matter your age. And if you ever feel like you need to reach out and you don't have anyone to contact, then you call me. As soon as you call, just say, I just need to talk. I don't want a response, and I will be quiet. But if you don't tell me that in the beginning, my brain is going to start trying to find solutions and figure out how we can get you out of a situation. But more importantly, always know you're never alone.
Thank you so much for all those words of wisdom, those golden nuggets that you gave, Miss Rosalind. You said
Mhm.
several dynamic things. You mentioned a key thing about getting to a place of finding your voice, which I know is definitely a hard thing to come to, especially when you're going through so much. Listeners, I just shared with Ms. Rosin before we got on this live how I chose to make a call because I've heard
Mhm.
there was domestic violence like feet away from me happening, and where I live at, the neighbors tend to kind of listen, but they don't pick up the phone out of fear or
Yeah.
being nosy. But then there's sometimes where you just got to step up and do the right thing, even if you don't know what the if is going to be. And so that's an example. She's saying opening her mouth. A lot of times we have to get there, despite circumstances. Is those books can't be written until we open our mouths. Those testimonies
Right.
can't help others. Those plays can't be
Mhm.
inspired. Those whatever stirrings we have can't come to fruition until
Mhm.
we come to terms with our own healing and deliverance and whatever process we have to get through to then be able to share with others to let them know, like Ms. Rothman was saying, that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay
Okay.
to know that you've gone through some things, but you have support. Mr. Roslyn, what is the best place for listeners to reach you? What's a good email or phone number or website?
I'll give all three. So my direct number is, which is my ministry number, is 210-446-8663. If you contact me and I don't answer, please text me and let me know what time I can call you back. Typically, I answer my phone. My email address is ministries, and that is plural, IAD, for it's already done, at gmail.com. And then our website, which is www.iad, again, it's already done, ministries, which is plural.com.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I'm going to post that content as well um, on the page. That way, anybody watching the replay, they'll be able to access you via those mediums. And once again, Ms. Rosalind, I am so thankful to have had you here on Foster My Stories as a guest. You have so many great things stirring in the works. Um, and thank you for those golden nuggets that you just dropped. And we're super excited for the efforts of just the aging out facility and really being able to connect with other leaders to help you bring that into fruition.
Thank
Um,
you.
Thank you so much. And listeners as well, we appreciate you listening in today. If you have any questions for Ms. Rosalind, the floor is now open. If you have any questions for Ms. Rosalind, feel free to put them in the chat of this video. No worries if not, you can leave them on the in the chat if you happen to tune in on the replay, and we'll get those questions to her, and that way y'all could communicate from there. All right, and so listeners, thank you so much for your time as well. And if your upbringing, community service, or job also connects you at Ms. Rosalind to the foster, adoption, orphan, and underserved communities, I would love to have you on the podcast. If you enjoyed today's content, please share, comment, or post. You can also revisit past content on the Foster My Stories Facebook page or on any of the following apps that's convenient for you, such as Red Circle Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Audible and Music, Radio Public, and Google Podcast, along with the soon inclusions of YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And as Fostered My Stories, I'm super excited, approaches the 2 year mark this December, listeners, please feel free. Yes, I'm so excited. Listeners, please feel free to tune in each Sunday of December at 12 p.m. Eastern Time here, and I will share some holiday product services and events from my guests. And questions that you can answer for a chance to win a weekly prize giveaway. So feel free to tune in the month of December for that. I'm super excited. And today, Ms. Rosalind Rider provided insight as to how really she has progressed from a not so picture perfect past. She didn't go into too many
Yeah.
details, but to a now bringing structure, discipline, and hope to the youth and women she desires to continue inspiring and progress with achievement strides. Ms. Rosalind, you are so, thank you so much for being here. You are such a dynamic leader, and I appreciate you just taking time out of your schedule. Listeners, feel free, like I said earlier, to share this content with someone you know. And remember, as always, and like I love saying, being fostered, adopted, orphaned, or underserved simply means what I call gracefully chosen. Listeners, you have a
Amen.
dynamic rest of your day. Miss Rosalind, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless.